Hi. Today I'm going to play a Peavey Windsor that has been modded by the Swedish amp guru Tommy Folkesson. He has applied his Eternal Classic mod to this amp. And as expected, world-class 80s, 70s hard rock and metal tones. But what really blew my mind is that whereas it has those tones, it also does the HENDRIX Hey Joe tone. I think that's one of the most hard or most difficult clean tones to duplicate, because it's sparkling and, you know, pristine as at the same time as it's warm and compresses in a nice way. I've only had that in very, very few amps, and I certainly didn't expect to find it here. So today I'm going to play this amp through this cab, which has two G12M Greenbacks with bosonic cones and two G12H Blackbacks with Kurt Mueller cones. One mic on each of them and one room mic. I'm going to use the Les Paul for most of the gainy stuff, and I'm going to use the my no-name Strat with lipstick pickups for the Strat and clean parts. I'm going to play for about 6-7 minutes, and then I had the pleasure to sit down with Tommy and discuss this mod and discuss in general his philosophy. And then we're actually going to tweak the amp bit. He has some exciting controls here that he has implemented that we're going to tweak. So I play and he tweak it. So don't miss that. All right, let's go.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Yes. So today Johan was kind to let me show one of my modifications. And this one I call the Eternal Classic mod. It's a one-channel mod on a Peavey Windsor amp. These amps were made for 3 or 4 years, I think. Started 2006 and then was discontinued because it was not a success, as I believe. Yes, so I modified some little parts in the power unit and some small parts in the power amp, but mainly the preamp is completely rebuilt to my specifications. And there are 3 12 AX7 tubes in the preamp, if you count the drive tube, the phase inverter. So the sound is really shaped in the 2 first, and there are 2. Well, I'll start with a history first. I call this Eternal Classic, and that's maybe a little bit weird. I don't know, but eternal means forever, I guess, and classic means it's been around for a long time. Yeah, and so this really started in 1959 or late 50s when Fender built their Bassman, the 410 Bassman. Maybe it was done with a 115 too, I don't know, but I think I've seen them with a 115. The tweed amps.
The Fender. I think mid-50s.
Okay, yeah. Fender Bassman. And then in 1962, Jim Marshall and Ken Brann, his technician, started to produce amps, and of course they wanted something that really sounded good, so they took a big look at this Fender Bassman and more or less copied the circuit. It's very close. But of course it sounded more Marshall with a 412 to it. In this construction, in this Fender Bassman, there was a special circuit called it's called a cathode follower, and that circuit is a low impedance drive unit for the tone stack. So the tone stack works better with this kind of circuit before it to drive it. And this was also borrowed by Marshall, and that is the classic tone distortion shaping circuit in every Marshall, and has been ever since in nearly all their models. This cathode follower is inside. So well, that circuit is very special. It's got some qualities. So nearly any modifier has used it. Dave Friedman, Mark Cameron, Jose Andando, and many more. Soldano. I forgot some, but they all use. Wohner is one of them. And I use this one too in this Eternal Classic. So that's why I call it the Eternal Classic, because it's an old circuit, an old standard for guitar sound. So I do some tweaks to it, of course. I do some extra compression. It's very easy to tweak this circuit and make it sound like you want. I use also some feedback loops inside the preamp instead of the power amp, where I got rid of the feedback loop, because I like the Vox amps very much. Vox AC30 and AC50 doesn't have any feedback loop, so and I think it sounds more natural, a little bit softer to the ear in high volumes. And then I have to reconstruct the presence control, because that one is almost always connected to this feedback circuit in many amps. But this presence control, it works like the Invox AC30 cut control, but with different values. So it's another kind of. I use it for decreasing or increasing the very high end, the sizzly sound. So you can control that with one controller. That's for what the presence control do. Yeah, and another speciality is that I built what I call a super gain control. The gain control is a double pot, so it controls 2 stages in the preamp.
Yeah.
And that means it happens double as fast when you turn it. So when you turn it down, it gets very clean at about 3, and you can have high gain. So the gain comes very fast when you turn it up, and it also works as a filter. So at low settings, it's nearly flat curve,
yeah.
and then the mid is amplified more than the rest of the sound when I turn it up. So at high settings, it's a very mid-boosted kind of Marshall nose to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's my preferences.
Interesting.
So we can, it's got 2 foot switch, one for volume boost, for solo boost, and one for the loop, effects loop. So it's mainly one channel. But we can try a little bit the different gain settings to see what the super gain control does.
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah, I'd love to.
Okay. Yeah. So
that was just the super gain control.
What it does. I had to be alert with master volume to meet that. But that's it doesn't give so much difference in volume because of the compression in this cathode follower. So when you turn up the gain, there's just a little increase in volume.
Yeah. Great. So it's great when you record and you want different amounts of gain, and you just don't want huge difference in the volume.
Yeah.
You go from cleans to
and that's what you can hear in all recordings from Van Halen to Jimi Hendrix and everyone. They use the guitar. They set the amp at high gain and use the volume on the guitar, and there's not a huge difference.
We can do that.
You can try.
Unfortunately, I've screwed up the volume pot on my bridge pickup, so we're going to use the neck instead now.
All right.
So it's going to be a rounder sound. Sorry.
All right.
Dangerous stuff.
Okay, so now we're going to show what happens with this sizzle control, the presence control that I talked about. So if you turn it up, you get a more modern kind of distortion sound with a sizzling top end. And if you turn it down, you have to meet and turn the treble up a little bit. Then you get more of a kind of a 70s, 80s rock sound with a roll-off treble frequencies. So it's a softer kind of treble response. Yeah, that's right.
So which one are we starting with? The modern or the 70s?
We are starting with a modern.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Really interesting.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Cool. It really changes character, actually.
Yeah. This treble response is very important, depending on what style you play.
Yeah.
I think so. There's a big difference between modern rock sounds and the old ones.
Yeah, definitely. So when you did think of it otherwise, you just think it's just more treble, but it's kind of different.
Yeah. Yes.
Different texture, really.
That's right. That's right. And the rest of the tone controls are pretty much the original Marshall setup that I used. The tone stack, they work almost the same. It's a little bit different values, but not much. So it's easy to control. And I usually try to make a starting character with a good neutral guitar sound with the controls in the middle, so it works that way, and then you can turn up and turn down as you taste, and that's pretty much what I like with the good amps, that they have a neutral sound to start with.
Yeah, and you told me something really interesting earlier about relative volumes.
Yeah, when setting an amp and setting the tone controls, it's very important to think that you must listen to the same volume when you test different settings, because if you make a change and the volume goes up a little bit, you always like that better.
Yeah.
The loudest is always the better.
Yeah.
But it really isn't. If you are scientifically want to prove something, it's very important to match the master volume with the setting. So these tone controls are passive, like almost any amplifier, and they work as volume controls for their frequency. So the middle control is a volume control for the middle frequencies, and when you turn it up, you turn the volume up. So you must lower the master volume a little bit to be to make an honest comparison.
Yeah.
And
I often fail at that.
Yeah, I often do it too, hundreds of times, I must say. Yeah, it's very easy, because you always go 9 times out of 10 you go for the louder sound.
Yeah.
So, and the strange thing is that you can turn all these volumes, you can turn them on very low and turn up the master volume and get another kind of character that normally no one uses.
Yeah.
Shall we try that one?
Yeah. I'd love to.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that Malcolm Young, I think he used really low settings on the EQ.
Yeah.
But
I can imagine,
I
yeah.
haven't heard of many others, but I know he does.
With these kind of controls, it makes a little bit softer kind of character, which is very pleasant to listen to if you play at home at low volumes, for example. It gets very soft. You can play in your bedroom if you like.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, let's try that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna.